The Halifax real estate market coming up this fall and this winter. Will things be different? Will they slow down or will they speed up? Matt, what do you think? I mean, people are thinking, yeah, the fall market's going to be here and it's going to be real busy.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement around the drop in interest rates that we started to see in June, but it doesn't seem to have really spurred a lot of activity on at this point, right? I think we're going to see, if you're asking what I think for the fall, I think we're going to see kind of a traditional fall market and then a traditional slowdown in the winter that we would see almost every year other than 2021, and be kind of waiting for spring again.
Yeah, it was, if I look at the sales, where's my little sheet? No, I didn't do my little sheet with all the, but January was really bad.
Yes. Yep.
April was bad.
Yep.
And August was just as bad as April.
Yep.
We only had 394 single family homes that sold here locally.
Yep.
I don't see a big jump up from that. I mean, the most we would have sold, I think, was probably maybe 500.
Yep.
I mean, again, I'm not looking at condos or
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the single family homes.
Yep.
I don't see, when I hear everybody, yeah, it's going to be busy, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, it is hard to imagine that it should have already happened at this point, right? Like,
Yep.
the signal has been sent to the market that rates are coming down, right? And so if you are someone who is thinking about buying, you want to be, buying now to get into the home before other people start to come into the market, and the rate will take care of itself over the next year or so. As you think about a variable rate or a short-term fixed rate, you deal with the rate over the next little while. But I think what we expected to see from buyers coming into the market, we haven't yet seen.
No.
It still feels like there's a lot of population pressure out there. I watch the rental market fairly closely, and there's not a lot of vacancy. So I still think there's people that need to come into the market, but it doesn't feel like they're rushing through the door to get here. No,
I don't think so either. And but people aren't rushing to list their homes.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. You know what? That's the part that's the hardest to explain. I think when you and I have chatted about this. If you look back in 2016, there were 6,000 houses on the market.
Yep.
And there's 3,800 today. Why people are not choosing to list their home today, but they were 8 years ago. It's hard to explain that for sure.
Because that's a lot of inventory when you look at 6,000.
Yeah.
And now we have more of a population.
Yep, that's right.
So one would think you would have more transient
houses.
Sales, but
Absolutely.
It's not happening.
Absolutely, yeah. It is funny, and we've talked about percentage of listings that are selling, and that number is only being kept up right now because the number of houses on the market is low, right? So it's at 75%, but if we had those 6,000 houses on the market, we'd be under 50% that we're selling right now.
Oh, yeah.
If we had the same number of sales. I do believe if we had more on the market, we probably would see a few more sales, but certainly we haven't seen a lot of evidence of buyer pressure that way.
So I remember, January of this year,
yeah,
it was dead. We had zero closes, and that's the first time that would have happened to us since July 2012, I remember.
Yeah.
Because I track everything.
Yep.
Do you see it? I don't think it's going to be much different this winter.
Yeah, I don't imagine it'll be as bad as January of last year. I think that 2023 and just coming out of 2023 is about the low point that we'll see in terms of number of transactions. But I also don't see it being kind of like a V bottom in terms of number of transactions. I see it kind of being a low scoop and come back up a little bit there, right? So January of this year will be better than January of 24, which was, I guess actually about the same as January 23, but you've kind of found that bottom point now in terms of number of transactions. You'll see it start to come back. The two things that could change are if there is some sort of government policy. So I think it's important to carefully watch what's happening with immigration policies, and then obviously employment as well. People don't have jobs, they're not buying houses.
Do you think why it is slow here has anything to do with the foreign buyer ban? Do you think that would have made a difference?
I think some of these things are now getting a little dated, right? The two things that, I was talking to someone just this morning about were the foreign buyer ban and the additional deed transfer for people from out of province, which neither of which really make a lot of sense to me anymore in our local market. Unfortunately, as we've experienced over the years, you and I have, we live in Nova Scotia, and a lot of times policy is set based upon Toronto and Vancouver. And so we get the negative effects of a policy that's designed to slow things down in bigger markets than ours. And so, we deal with that. That's just the fact of life of being, somewhere other than those two cities. But it does seem to me like it's time to revisit those two things.
Yeah. And then they looked at, over the 2024 with the Airbnb rules.
Yep.
That did nothing to affect any of the inventory that they were hoping to have.
Agreed.
Like for sales.
Or rentals, you know what I mean? It's the vacancy rate hasn't all of a sudden gotten better. I would say there's just as much pressure there. Rents are still going up. Ultimately, you and I know what the solution is. We need to build more housing, right? And
but it seems all that's being built are just apartment buildings on top of apartment buildings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the spring. I was looking at the breakdown of the housing stock that was being built, and I am someone who recently has built a few townhouses and noted that I think there were less than 100 townhomes that were built for rental purposes. So felt fortunate that I fell into that category where there wasn't a lot of other competition, right? And I think that taking a look at what kind of stock people are looking for is important for people who are building that kind of stuff.
Because I don't think it's all apartments.
No. I mean, I hate to say this because it's an unfortunate fact of where we're at in our cycle here, but bedroom count is important to a lot of people who are coming and renting, because it's a couple and their brother and maybe a third person who's living with them, right? And that sucks in a lot of ways because you're jamming a lot of people into a unit. But that's the first part of the cycle, is that they live in kind of that kind of environment. Typically these are younger people, and then they're able to the couple lives in a place, and then they buy a place, and that's kind of the way that it goes, right? And so you're at the early part of that cycle for a lot of these renters, and they're forced to live in something, cohabitate with someone else, and then the cycle gets going. So we'll see what the builders over the next little while do, whether they look to meet that demand or they just keep kind of building what it is that they've always built.
So when you look at what has been, being built here, and how we don't have enough housing.
Yep.
So is it the city's fault that they took 12 years now for Seton Ridge? Like that, I don't understand that. Why is it if I can go, what's the difference between here and going to Enfield where I can get a permit so much quicker? Has city really delayed the process of housing, just in general?
If you ask the province, they would say yes. That's why they've taken control of these 9 special projects that they refer to, right? And are kind of fast tracking them through. 2 things I think about that. Yes, there certainly has been a lengthy period that most people have had to wait for these. On the flip side, it's also the city's fault that we've had such population growth. They've gone out and done a great job of marketing Halifax to the world, and so you see an influx of newcomers from across Canada or across the world, and we haven't reacted very well to keep up with infrastructure.
How is that not thought of?
It's frustrating to me that we have a brand new school just around the corner from where you and I are sitting right now that has a 12-class portable outside of it. Because
that I don't understand either. Like, that's crazy. They just built.
Absolutely.
And and all the, that's crazy.
It's jam full, right? So, if you're going to embark upon efforts to grow the population of the city, you have to think about the infrastructure. So I believe that that's something that maybe we missed on a little bit as a municipality. Certainly it's something that you could consider hurting the quality of life here, as many people who've lived here for their whole lives would say. I still believe the net effect of population growth is great, right?
Absolutely.
I think that you bring all kinds of new perspectives in, and I love that. I think that, you know, as employers grow, you need more employees, and so people are coming in and they're happy and eager to work, and then, you know, you just again get the benefit of a broader base of people with which we kind of all share expenses and things like that. So
And it's been great. You know, when I first moved to Halifax back late 06, early 07, how eclectic Halifax has become.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you have only to be thankful that that has changed and it's put us on the map.
Absolutely.
But we just put the cart before the horse.
We need to think a little bit more about what we need to do, you know, and you know, sometimes it's hard to predict the level of success that you're going to have. And we've been exceptionally successful as a city attracting people here, right? And now we have to make sure that we keep up with, you know, servicing all that demand.
No, I hear you. Well, Matt, that's a wrap again today.
It's a
So
pleasure.
we'll get together again, hopefully within a month or two, and it'll be interesting to see. You know, your predictions and my predictions about the fall and winter market. Like I'm very trepidatious about the fall market that's coming.
Well, I look forward to chatting about it again, hopefully before the snow flies.
Yes. Don't say that word.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's a bad four-letter word. All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.